today we are going to continue taking a look at lesson 14, conditionals. And we are going to start today with bubble 7. So conditional statements. Again, this is bubble number 7. You can return to this video and watch it as many times as you would like, but we are going to watch it right now together.
The world around us is constantly changing, and we do our best to adapt to different conditions. If it's sunny outside, wearing sunglasses is a good choice, but if it's raining, you'll need to put on a raincoat. Just like humans, computer programs also change depending on different conditions. To make our programs responsive, we use conditional statements. Conditional statements are commands that run a specific block of code only if something is true. The simplest conditional is an if statement. An if statement uses a Boolean expression to ask a true or false question, and then runs the code inside if the Boolean evaluates to true, like this. Let's look at an example of conditionals in action. First, we'll create a sprite. Then, we'll use the draw function to draw the background. And move the sprite across the screen using the counter pattern. We'll add a conditional if statement inside the draw function. Inside the conditional, we'll put a Boolean expression that asks, is the sprite's x position greater than 200? In this case, let's change the look of the sprite if it moves past the middle of the screen. Finally, we'll draw our sprite and see what happens. Computers only do exactly what we tell them to do, but with conditionals, we can have our programs adapt to changes and respond to user input.
Okay, so again, you can return to that video whenever you feel like it, but the takeaway is this. Using Boolean expressions and using conditionals, you can change things in your program as they are running. And you saw her turn that gray sprite into a race car when the X position got greater than 200. All right, so we are going to be able to do that starting today, which is kind of exciting because we are getting closer and closer to actually having a real video game type thing situation. Okay, so taking a look at bubble number 8, changing fruit. Now that we know how to use if statements, you can do more than just check if the apple has reached the scale of 2. You can turn it into a pair if it happens. Do this. Use a conditional in the draw loop to check whether or not fruit scale is 2. If it is, change the fruit's animation to pair. Awesome. Okay, so Boolean statement. Again, under, I think it's in the world. Nope. I know it's not in drawing. It's probably under control. There we go. There is my Boolean statement. It's under control. So if I pull this in, if the scale, greater than, right? So that's what it said. If the scale is greater than, if the scale is greater than 2, then we need to change the animation to a pair. Now, again, my variable that I've created is actually called fruit. So I need to change everywhere that it says the word sprite, I need to change that to the word fruit. Otherwise, this will not work at all. It won't run. All right, so let's see what happens. So it's an apple, 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 pear. So while it was running, when the scale got to 2, it automatically switches over. This is what we use Boolean expressions for. It is to check for conditionals. If this situation is true, then and only then, inside the draw loop, does this true statement occur. Okay? So again, I created a Boolean expression in a conditional, and then I created the situation that I wanted to have happen. Sorry. All right, so let's check these out, right? So let's take a look at A, looking at more Boolean expressions. The simplest Boolean expression are questions that the computer can answer as either true or false. Another way to say this is that a Boolean expression evaluates to true or false. Do this. Can you modify the values of the sprite properties so that each Boolean expression evaluates to true? Read through the entire program below and see how sprite 1 and sprite 2 are being created and are compared. For each Boolean expression, identify the sprite properties being compared. Change the code in the first 11 lines only so that each console log statement prints true. Okay, so first of all, I need to see what's going to actually happen. And I'm looking down here at my console log. I'm going to get rid of this so I can actually read the console log. Awesome. So if I run the program, and I always like to have my grid on, that's just a me thing. And I'm looking, and down here, my console log is always running as false. So what does that actually mean? That means that all of my comparisons are false. All right. So let me take a look at what the comparisons are, because I want the comparisons to all be true. And it says, do not edit the following. I am serious, because I am. You only edit the first 11 lines of code. So comparison 1, sprite 2 is the X is the same as the Y. All right, so sprite 2. All right, so to make the sprite 2's X and Y the same, I would just have to come in here and change where it is being created. So I can go to 200, 200, or I can go to 300, 300. It really doesn't matter. All right, cool. So now, reset, run. You'll notice how now comparison number 1 is actually true, even though you can't really see it because my screen sucks. There we go. All right. Comparison number 2. Sprite 2 rotation is less than 40. Sprite 2 rotation, I'm going to turn into 30. Sprite 3 comparison. Sprite 1 scale is equal to or equivalent to Sprite 2 scale. So now I got to look at their scales. Sprite 1 is at 1.5. Sprite 2 is at 0.5. So I'm going to change this to 1.5. Hopefully that works out. Okay. Fourth comparison, sprite 1x is greater than 150. The x on sprite 1 has to be greater than 150. I'm going to make it 151 because that's greater than. And let's see, the last one, comparison 5, sprite 2y is less than 200. The sprite 2y, okay, so it's at 300, so I'm going to make it 199. And then remember, I wanted my sprite 2's x and y to be the same, so I'm going to have to change this to 199 as well. And now, if I come down here and look at the console log, all of my evaluations are true. All I did was read through what the comparisons was and go back and fix whatever I needed to fix to make those evaluations true. Taking a look at B. Do this. The soup should spill out of the bowl when it turns upside down. Run the program to see how it works. Add a conditional that detects when the bowl is upside down and set the sprite's animation to be an empty bowl. All right, cool. So let me run it and see how it works. So it needs me to have an empty bowl once it turns upside down. So because I just remember stuff from when I took math a million years ago, I know if I start right side up, to turn all the way upside down would be 180 turn. So my conditional is this. If, and again, I'm looking at math. Sprite, if my rotation is greater than 180, then what do I want to have happen? I want to have an empty bowl. So if that's the case, I am going to have my soup, oops, spelled wrong, equal the bowl, because that's where it's empty, okay? And again, this has to be soup. Always make sure that your variables are equal to what you named them originally. All right, so reset and run. So hopefully now when it turns upside down, I will see an empty bowl. And there it goes. So now it's empty. Yay! Because when it turned upside down, the bowl got emptied because it spilled. All right, last one, and then you guys will be able to do 10 on your own. Alien celebration. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Make the alien dance when the spaceship reaches the top of the screen. Do this. Run the program, see how it works. Add a conditional that detects when the spaceship is in the sky. Set the sprite animation to alien dance. Okay, cool. So let me see what actually happens. Again, I like to put my grid on, but that's just me. Oops, didn't mean to do that. All right, cool. So he's supposed to start dancing when that spaceship gets to the top of the screen, which looks like about y equals 50. Okay, so reset. So I need to set a conditional. Again, I'm going to go to my control. If, again, a math greater than, so I want if the sprite's y, I'm sorry, is, shouldn't be greater than, I apologize. I always forget that the y is upside down. If the spaceship's y is less than, oops, right there, this can go, less than 50, then what's going to happen? I want my alien to dance. So then my alien rotation is going to be equal to a random number. So again, alien, maybe this is going to be negative 10 to positive 10. Okay. Let's see if that works. No, it does not. We can't figure out what the sprite is. Perhaps you meant, oh, I didn't name my sprite. My bad. Spaceship. And see, once it got to the top, my little alien started dancing. He got all happy. Woo woo, we're at the top. Yay, my buddies left the Earth. All right, so that takes you through bubble number 9. You should be able to complete bubble 10 on your own. You may choose to do bubble 11 if you want to, but bubble 11 are the challenges, so those are optional.